Welcome into another fantastic episode of the Zee and Zed show. My name is Austin, aka Zombie Hedgehog.
My name is Liz, aka pezliz, and today we're actually going to learn something.
We are. I'm actually, it's completely my fault. I've been out of the game. I've just been out of the game for HueForge for so long.
Out of the game.
I printed a few HueForges, but honestly, HueForge has advanced so much that the people doing these amazing HueForges are just extremely talented. They've taken a lot of time to learn the software.
It's so fun printing their design. It's so fun printing their design.
I've just been printing their stuff because, they're the masters now. I used to be the master back when I was like the only person doing it. It was very, very low bar. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that today with Steve.
But guess what? Yeah. But guess what? I still, on Maker World, I get boosts for my HueForge maple leaves every single day.
Yeah,
people love
HueForge
that
Hummingbird.
model.
People still love it.
Yep, people love it. So I did, I think it was actually Wincing, and I had some consultation with people in my stream at that time, and I think it was now I'm trying to remember. Anyway, they were the ones that suggested with the maple leaf that I allow it to warp. And so
yes, yeah, give a little bit of like
just finished
3D effects.
Everything but the top for bearded pumpkins, bearded printers, jack-o'-lantern.
That's cool.
In the Polymaker Silk Orange Fire. This is 3D print bunnies, really cool skull bowl in the,
very nice.
The fire, and in the blue one, I don't have it right here. I don't know. Oh
wow.
And for Dooflunky, I'm test printing a new model that he has. So.
And I have just finished my at least
nice.
the car part of my eraser. But you know what? This is not important right now. What's important is our special guest for today's episode. One of the first people we had as a guest on our streams, I believe, way back in the day. Introducing
the pioneer,
the one and only,
the tallest,
Steve.
Hey guys.
Steve of HueForge. There we go.
Dramatic build up there for you.
There you go.
Yeah,
so how are you doing, man?
Dramatic.
It's been a couple months since we talked last.
A couple years.
I think it's been. Let's see.
Well, we've talked at shows.
We talked.
Remember,
it was the spring. So HueForge came out the spring of 2023.
It was June of 2023.
Yeah, and we took HueForges to the Midwest Rev Festival. People were fighting over them, trying to buy them from us.
that was chaos.
Like it was getting a little competitive between even family members, because we just brought them. It was HueForges are a great thing to take to a booth because, especially coming from another country, does not weigh a lot in your luggage. We brought like everything that we had been HueForging. I think Medic did too. James, he brought a whole bunch of stuff. So at the Polymaker table, it was HueForge, central.
Pretty awesome.
It was HueForge everywhere. I saw the pictures. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but yeah.
But you've made it to lots of events then.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been doing since then?
Well, so in January of 2024, I was able to quit my day job and do HueForge full time. So that was a big shift. So now I'm at I passed 2 years of HueForge sales in June of this year, and things are still going well. I've been to a bunch of shows now. I've been to a couple of 3D Printopias with one more on the way, a couple of Rocky Mountains, and I even went with Ian and AJ to Japan for the Japanese Festival.
Japan.
We did
That's amazing. International.
Yeah, and we did Smurf last year too, actually.
True.
So it's interesting you say that HueForges don't take that much weight in your luggage. Well, it depends on how many you bring.
Yeah. So. I mean, I've seen your booths, and the actual booths are constructed with HueForge.
It was at Rocky Mountain. It won't be at 3D Printopia. That was a big effort with a lot of printers and stones. So,
I don't blame you. Like, man, even printing just a couple of them. They're not quick. They're not quick.
No, they still don't print super fast. That's true, and especially since I like making bigger ones, those take even longer because you're printing 350, 340 millimeter HueForges. Those take minimum of 12 hours.
Yeah, so those took a long time, and now you've just happened to bless us with something that takes even more time.
Even more time because
even more time.
Yes, SlowForge. No, FlatForge. So it's not out yet. There you go. You got a FlatForge right there. I have one right here.
It's flat. It's flat, guys. It's flat.
Yep.
So
it's flat.
I was thinking about this, trying to explain what FlatForge is, and if you have never done a HueForge, you probably have no idea why this is just so incredible. Like, this is truly, like, one of the coolest things. I mean, HueForge was one of the coolest things that happened at the time. This right here is, like, 10 times better. It's a flat, no, I'm not joking. This is a flat, absolutely flat, not just multicolor, but, like, shaded, painted, image to 3D print. It does not get better than this.
Yours is double-sided too.
Yeah,
right, this is a double-sided one. Look at that. Two sides.
So how long have you been thinking about FlatForge and what sparked that idea?
So FlatForge, not necessarily the name, but I kind of always knew it was going to be a forge of some sort. It's been kind of rattling around in my brain for a while. It very early on, very, very early on, maybe the first 100 customers, someone asked me, can I turn these over and print them face down? And I said, no, you can't, because they're all swapped by layer. They're all, textured. The normal one is textured. It's got depth. Of course, it's going to be removed by my filter, but it's got layers. And actually, I love the layers. And a lot of people love the tactile feel and nature of a HueForge print. But I was like, once someone asked for it, I said, oh, well, yeah, that can be done. But I had a whole lot of other stuff I wanted to do first. And one of the big things about HueForge for me, and still a big thing about HueForge for me, is that it's easy to print on anybody's printer, and it doesn't have very much waste. And so when I started thinking about FlatForge, I kind of was able to conceptualize the workflow to make a FlatForge pretty quickly. But then turning that into code is a whole another ballgame. And I kept putting it off, and I also knew I didn't want to make it part of HueForge because it's very different from HueForge and how it operates. As you said, it takes longer. It makes more waste if you don't have a tool changer. It's a lot of trade-offs, but sometimes, the results are amazing. And so, you can do things you just can't do in HueForge by itself. And so...
because people were just saying that HueForge doesn't require an AMS, but just FlatForge.
Yes, AMS is required for FlatForge or tool changer or nozzle changer. Or MMU, anything that will change filament for you, because even small things are 30, I think the smallest I've seen is like 25, 26 swaps, and that was, a 2 or 3 color print that wasn't very tall. But you quickly get into 50, 100 swaps if you've got more colors. And, the more colors you have, obviously, the more swaps you're going to have. It kind of scales because it effectively splits the model up by color, and then kind of floods all the color up to the top, but keeps it the same width, the same thickness, so you still get the color blending. And so a couple things are going to happen. It's thicker. So everyone, early HueForges especially, people were worried that they were too thin, and we added ability to make them thicker. They're pretty flexible. They're not very thick. I mean, you can make them thicker. I like them kind of a little flexible, but because a FlatForge is flat, every layer or the whole part is as thick as the thickest part. So instead of being really thin parts of, half a millimeter or a quarter of a millimeter or, whatever you set it to, everything's like the 2 millimeters that the print is, that the tallest layer is tall. So you don't need to, and the double-sided ones are double that. So
this is a single-sided one right here. It's still pretty thick, right? It's not the thinnest, and I mean the black is only black like on the last couple of layers, and it's using the translucency. The way that I can imagine how this works, and the best way to explain it, is that you're taking an individual pixel, and you're picking how that color has to be generated, and then you're stacking it up. Then you're just taking a bunch of those and putting them next to each other.
That
so
is
you
not
get
how,
the.
that is not how FlatForge works. No, you make a HueForge.
Ah.
You make a HueForge as normal, and then you tell it, "I want it to be flat," and it makes it flat.
Right. But you're building up from the build plate, so you're like dropping all of the colors down onto it, essentially.
Oh, because it's face down? No.
Right.
Yeah, that's just turning it up. That just turns the model over. It's still, so the way I think about it is flooding. You're flooding it up from the bottom. So if everything was made of little balls, little, hollow plastic balls, and they were all stacked on top of each other, and then you filled it with water, and they all floated to the top but kept their same orientation, and then the bottom of the water was just your black. That's basically what's happening, is I'm flooding it all up. But you're doing that with all the mesh geometry, which is the tricky part, because you're trying to do all the triangles. And the current version, which I hopefully will be, I mean, it doesn't really affect the final result, but if you go look at in the slicer, you will see tiny little triangles that are missing. They're not missing, but they're divots, like little golf ball divots in the top of the model. And so those I'm hoping to fill those in. I think I know what's causing those, and I'm hoping to fill them in. But they're so small, they just like kind of come out in the wash. You don't really see them, and especially if you flip it over. So when you print face down, the tricky part was, and I didn't get this at first, is HueForge layer heights this is a 0.04 millimeter layer height that I'm printing at for this print. Do you want to do a 0.04 millimeter first layer?
Nope.
No,
I did.
Not even remotely.
This one was a 0.04 millimeter first layer. Credit to the X1 Carbon for doing it. But then other ones peeled off, and I said, this is stupid. So now we put a single layer of transparent on the bottom layer at your regular base layer height, your 0.16 or 0.16 or 0.2 millimeter layers, and then you print your FlatForge on top of it, flipped over. So you get the build plate effects too, which is really fun.
Yeah, that works out pretty good. So this has that layer of clear, and you can almost see it, right? Like you can kind of tell it's there, but you can't.
Yeah.
In person, it just looks like a standard HueForge, just flat. And then the ability to have the effects plate. Now, have you printed these on texture plates? I have not yet.
I haven't done a textured plate yet. A couple people have.
Yeah.
They look cool. They look cool on the textured plate. I just haven't done it yet. I have one I want to grab that I forgot to grab before I came in here. So let me grab it. My camera's going to try to follow me because it likes to do that. But
yeah, so I did a couple. This is the HueForge.
Trippy.
This is the HueForge Hummingbird.
Very trippy.
This is one of the original models that I HueForged, right? And I had Steve convert this to a FlatForge.
Yeah. So this is one that I've done on Instagram, I think, but not Twitter. So one of the nice things about a FlatForge is that now you can build it into your model with just a rectangular or whatever shape pocket, printed face down, and it's all integrated. There's no glue after the fact. This is all one.
Yeah.
One piece.
And
so
there were people,
there
were
really
people
nice.
designing things so HueForge could be used as an insert, and then you're like doing all the all the sizing stuff. So this becomes part of the print.
And
awesome.
and as a result, your model file is multiple files. So instead of being one, you've seen this, instead of being one file, you now get one file or one STL per color. But it's not just per color, it's per color per layer. So if you use the same color twice, you're going to get 2 layers of that color. Or if you're doing a double-sided, you'll get twice as many files. So you get a lot more triangles, but it actually does not, if you don't have too many, it doesn't actually increase slicing time over a normal HueForge very much. If you have a lot, and I did one print with a ton, my slicer started taking up 10 gigs, and whenever I had to change anything, it was a multi-minute process just to move things around. So, there are limits to that, but in general, it doesn't actually cost that much more in the slice time, even though you've got a lot more triangles. I have not optimized the triangles for like back faces and things like that, so there's a lot more triangles there now. But some things this is my double-sided example. This is the very first one I did double-sided. After so first I thought, I'm not going to make double-sided in FlatForge, just do it in the slicer. And then I tried to align in a regularly shaped mirrored image in the slicer and said, nope, I'm doing it in FlatForge. This is happening in FlatForge. So, but there's a bunch of things I did for FlatForge, which apply to normal HueForges, and so those are going to be in the next version of HueForge as well. Like you will be able to split your models up by color, so you will be able to pull without flattening it. Since I had to make the code to split it into different into models by layer, you get that capability in base HueForge, because that makes sense that you can now instead of having that layer swaps.
They used to be kind of annoying is having to manually go in and change everything, and then some slicers, like the way you have to do it is just tedious. So
the layer,
just being able to pull it in, color it, that's awesome.
Yep.
And
color by object,
yeah, especially for tool changers or printers where you can't change like the color order. That's really useful.
I will say though, actually, if I bring in a model and it's got 8 or 9 different colors in there, well, no, if I bring in multiple models together. And so there's a ton of them, and the tool order doesn't match my color order in the STLs. I will just seriously, my camera likes to do that. It's got like AI commands.
We'll just zoom in too. We'll just match your energy.
I don't know what they are, so I do things and it's like, oh, let me zoom in.
It's the
yeah. Apparently, it was one hand. I thought you had to have 2 hands, but apparently, but in any case, I will change the filament rather than fix every single one of them. I'll be like, oh, that one's going to be black. Okay, let's go put the black in that spot so that it works out right.
Right.
No, since the first time we talked to you, you've definitely grown in having a team around you, which is, I think, part of the reason why you've been able to do this full time. And your team is like. Yeah, for shows. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And of course, they how much has that team helped you in developing things and testing?
So a lot of them. So obviously AJ ended up pushing out the TD1 and the TD1S, and that became his primary focus. That's been a huge help for HueForge in general. But he has. I have like 3 on my desk right here, plus the TD1S. I've got one. But. So that was a tremendous help just for HueForge in general. But that eats most of his time. And he works together with me on the booth. We get the booth together at the shows because it makes sense right now. At some point, it may not make sense because he's starting to push into alternate uses for it. And there it may be like it actually makes more sense to have him in another booth like next to us, but it's actually its own booth because he wants to show off other capabilities to expand it past HueForge use, which makes total sense from his perspective.
I mean, I just use it for figuring out what a filament's going to look like. And honestly, the difference between a really opaque and a really translucent filament is jarring.
It's amazing how the TD has now become, like, for us, it's just common knowledge. People are like, oh, my
standard.
My printed,
what's the TD that filament?
My print didn't turn out well. The eyes, everything's bleeding through on the eyes and stuff. Like, what's the TD of the pink filament that you're using?
Yeah,
even actually, Jonathan and Chad has a new model.
TD values.
Yeah,
for something like this because I didn't want bleeding.
Yeah, Jonathan has a new model and his infill is black, and so it's a little axolotl, and so the ears are supposed to be light pink, but of course the TD of the light pink, it looks like gray anyway. But for me, it's like, I would have known the TD of that filament before I did a black infill. So yeah, it's
amazing how much TD is now just industry standard. You made industry standard. That's crazy.
You brought to 3D printing.
It's kind of weird. It's all actually it's all still kind of weird. It still feels like tomorrow people are going to realize that they were dreaming and none of this happened. It's kind of like my day to day, but it also just is so weird that it's my day to day. Like I'll literally sit here and sometimes be like, oh wait, shouldn't I be doing something else? No, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like I'm supposed to be doing something else here right now. What clear filament?
Yeah,
I have been using just the Polymaker natural. It doesn't actually have to be fully transparent at that layer height. A 16 plus TD of almost any color is going to be fine.
Ooh, so some of the Celestials would be fun to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I probably do like an overall color grading.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have the ability to? I'm just shooting off here. Change what that first color layer is in the software, maybe.
How thick it is, or what filament it is?
No, just like see what it'll look like.
So HueForge does not predict the transparent layer. I can show you. You want me to show you what FlatForge looks like?
Yeah,
actually, I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah,
you gave me the slice model.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's coming out when? Soon?
It should come out at the end of the month. It should be out by 3D Printopia. It might be at 3D Printopia, but actually, so let me give this out right now. This week there should be a beta release of just HueForge. It won't have any plugins. Well, it won't have the plugin. It'll have some internal plugins for things like cutting the layers, the colors by layer, and things like that. But it's really just making sure there's nothing wrong with HueForge, the new version I need to have for the plugin before I release the plugin, and that's going to be like a week, and then everything will go out. So when there won't be a beta period for the plugins. Once the plugins go out, they're going out to everybody.
So you're telling me you're not just going to release a product that's half baked and then hope to fix it in post?
I'm going to try not to, but probably will, and we'll still fix it in post.
Right.
I'm struggling with macOS right now. macOS has been. I knew it would be. I had to re-architect a lot of HueForge to make this possible, just to be able to have access to the stuff I needed to make this possible. So like HueForge was all one big application, and in coding you normally need to split it into libraries. So I had to do the library split up stuff, and that was relatively straightforward on Windows. But then bringing it into macOS and doing the code signing and all that stuff, it was much more complicated. I'm almost there, and so I knew that was going to be kind of a bear. I was hoping it'd be a little bit less than it was, but it's developing on macOS. I will say that part of the reason I actually started on FlatForge is because I started refactoring HueForge to do other changes, and most developers will do just about anything to stop refactoring. So I was like, oh, let me try this FlatForge thing for a little bit. And I was playing with it, and it was really hard, and it was not going that well. And all of a sudden, I had an epiphany and said, "Well, what if I did this?" And then all of a sudden, it was so much easier, and not easy, but a lot easier and much more tractable problem. And I was able to make real progress. So I'm like, let's do that. Let's do that instead of refactor.
There's a couple of questions here in chat, and I actually I know the answers. People are like, "What about HueForge?" I mean, go to Cyanide Sugar's Maker World profile. She's already making. Well, she's actually doing 3D HueForges. There's lots of really interesting things that people are doing with HueForge already. So people are, if you haven't seen things like Cyanide Sugar, if you haven't seen the stuff that Additive Atom did for with the great wood grain, Danny does with TPU. Well, Additive Atom did with TPU as well. Like people have been really going the limit with HueForge. I mean, I thought I was fancy for using glitter instead of white for
right.
And I did a couple things. I use like glow filament and use but it's amazing what people have been doing. Mr. Suso is doing HueForge D&D terrain. I mean, you had the first chessboard. All kinds of amazing stuff. So let's
oh my god.
There should
this
be
is a chessboard.
There should be a FlatForge chessboard at 3D.
Of course.
Awesome.
Of course, right? It makes sense. It's flat.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't know if I can get that to show, but
I can see it.
Oh, that looks cool.
It's a very subtle marble. I haven't done this is the one that brought my slicer to its knees because I had 36 tiles at once printing, and it was not unhappy. I have
you can make your own. You can make your own just like marble granite countertops now.
Except for the whole melting in kitchen.
Well. I mean, like just for looks, right?
Yes.
Like imagine that, right? I'm sure you could tile it pretty good. Make a nice tiled. Wow.
That's one of the things that I've always thought is the coolest use case of HueForge is the faux material. So I love Danny's or Adam's table, his TPU wood grain table, and that's why we did the stone wall in the background for Rocky Mountain. And that was funny because people who knew all about HueForge would walk in and look around and talk, oh, these are so cool. Let me say, have you touched the wall yet? And they say, what? Wait, what? No. And then they go over and like, of course she printed it, of course.
I even took a piece of the wall home.
Yes, some people got the wall.
Yes.
Some people got pieces of the wall. And that's actually one of those cases where I don't think FlatForge is the appropriate medium because the texture of the wall made the wall so much cooler.
Like I say, it adds a lot to a lot of models. So it'll be interesting to see, when now you have a choice, right? if you're making a model, should it be flat or should it have texture?
Right.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. So let me flip over.
Yeah.
Man, last time I was here.
I'm wearing HueForge.
Oh, see, those would be. Those are really nice. First of all. Second of all, those would be pretty cool and double-sided FlatForge.
Yes, it would. Double-sided. Finally, we can have our double-sided earrings.
Look.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, I put my this right here.
There's been some requests. It won't be out. Definitely won't be out in this version. But there have been some requests for can we do one side flat, one side textured? And there's no reason we can't do that. But I think just workflow-wise, it would be really tricky right now, and that's not what people want right now. And HueForge or FlatForge will continue to be updated. So you can merge that in the manually in the slicer. The nice thing, yes, you can do that in the slicer. But the other nice thing though about the plugin model is that I can update just FlatForge. I don't have to do a whole new HueForge update. So if I want to add a couple more features or do some bug fixes to FlatForge, I can just do a FlatForge release. I don't have to do a HueForge release, which is a lot more testing, a lot more process, and things like that. So,
because people were asking why it's separate.
Well, so it's separate for two reasons. One, because it kind of violates the core tenets of HueForge that anyone can use it and that there's minimal waste because it's all layer swaps. And then also because that way it's complicated enough that way I can service them separately. And in fact, I expect there'll be some more plugins that come out that will be free, but will be just plugins so that for that reason, because I know that they're going to need enough updating and revision that I don't want to tie them to when HueForge gets updated.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me see here if I can get that right. There we go. Okay, so here's a
awesome
HueForge image. Let me move my face to the bottom so I'm not blocking.
Yeah, and then well, there we go.
Okay. So this is just it's just a standard image. It's a simple image, not a very good image file either. It's got some artifacts. I do want to show you one thing that I just added before kind of locking in is you can now make a single layer transparent so that you don't need a background removal tool if your background is a solid color that isn't in the rest of the image.
Oh, that's really useful. Yeah.
It is very useful for some background colors, but like for black, it's probably not going to be useful because so much black is in the image. It's going to get rid of all the black in the image. So it's not going to work for everything, but for certain things it'll work. And it doesn't have to be the bottom layer. You can make any layer that you want. So I can make her neck transparent here if I want, and because I can just pick whatever layer you want to remove that there. So that's a new feature in. So then, okay, so say I made this one and I want it cut out. I come up to plugins. Mesh Tools, FlatForge. And why is it Mesh Tools, FlatForge? Because there's going to be a couple more tools in here. They're going to be related, but they're going to be a couple more tools in here. So it won't just be FlatForge.
Okay, so more stuff coming.
Yeah, they should be, at least one of them will be in at release, which is, there should be a keychain maker in here by release. It'll just basically automatically be double-sided and give you a ability to add a hook for the keychain on the outside edge.
Perfect.
So, I figure if Bamboo's going to make chroma canvas, I can make the HueForge keychain maker.
And I'm not going to lie, it's a super useful thing just to have it just bam, done, import it, print it.
Okay, so a couple things to note. FlatForge does not do anything but slicer view. So you're only going to see slicer view. It is not going to blend colors in this view. So these colors over here are going to be what you're going to get, but in here it's just going to show you the same as if, let me close this for a sec. If I come in here and put this in slicer view, you'll see it's the same. So you're basically getting slicer view in FlatForge.
Okay. So you still have to do a regular HueForge first.
You make your regular HueForge first, and then you come in here and you can rotate this, and as you showed in the preview, you can explode it and show what each color. So you can see here how we have this white layer on the background that's got like an indented texture, and then we have the different layers that get smaller and smaller still, but they have different portions of them, and they're all kind of indented into the layer below. That's how it's built up. And this exploding view is just so you can see what's going on. It really doesn't affect anything. It's just so you can see what's going on. If you want to print face down, you click the face down button. It will add the transparent layer on top. So now, and you can see in the list over here, this transparent layer. And you can hide any of these you want. I can make that hide, and I can make them wireframe if you want as well, if you want to inspect something. But generally speaking, you won't need to do that. It's just kind of a fun thing to be able to do. And then you can choose to go double-sided if you want here. So if you are not face down and you choose double-sided, it's going to automatically make you face down because you have to. One side's going to be face down.
Right.
So in double-sided, the face down layer is always going to be the regular layer, and the face up layer will be the mirrored layer. So if you're trying to print text, the face down side is going to get your text that you can read. At some point, and this won't be in this version, but at some point, I'm going to try to put somewhere where you can like draw a box and say, don't mirror this section, as long as it's a rectangle. So we'd be able to, oh my gosh, I just zoomed my face in. Fortunately, it's much smaller screen.
Yeah, at least you're small.
But anyway, you'll be able to maybe say that like this rectangular area of text does not get mirrored as long as it's rectangular.
Awesome.
The exploded view is nice, Little John. Particularly useful of owners of the ANET A8.
Wow.
And then you just pick where you want to save it. So you can pick a folder. I've been saving them on my H drive, so let's put them here. Projects, select folder, and then I'm going to call it, FlatForge demo. And then if you want, you can click here, and if you uncheck this and check it back in, it will add that to make it a folders, because you're going to get a bunch of files, so it can be nice to put these in folders now.
Yeah.
And
you're going to
then
love a folder.
You just say okay, and it saves it. You're done.
So that's really nothing. I mean, you make a HueForge, that's the hard part, and then you just tell it to make a FlatForge.
Correct.
Easy.
Correct. Yep. So it's super easy. Now I will say that a really big one is going to take longer than that. And then I have there's some other ways to do things that could take longer than that save was. That save was really fast, but then if I come over here, let me find that.
I know you took my original file. I actually gave you the HueForge file for my Hummingbird, and you're able to just make it a FlatForge just like that.
Yep.
2 seconds.
I tweaked it a little bit because of changes in the model, but yeah. So then you can see all of your files here. Let's sort them by type. You have all of your STL files. It does save the HFP, the HueForge project file, but it doesn't save like just the general STL for it. It doesn't make the full size original STL. It just makes the STLs for FlatForge. You can see like the biggest ones are 60 megs, and then the smaller ones are 10 megs. So they do add up in size. I'll also say I didn't check here. Normally what I would do for this is I'd actually reduce this base thickness probably down to like 0.24, because 2.24 layers makes 1.48 layer if I'm doing double-sided. So I'd probably reduce it, or even for a single one, but I didn't do it in that case. That's fine. And then you just drag it into your slicer. And I'm still running an old version of Bamboo Studio because my printers are on old firmwares. But you bring them in, say yes, it's a multi-part object.
Yeah, it's going to ask you if you want to combine them or not combine them.
Right.
There you go.
And then you bring them in, and then you would just go, and they're all named according to their color. So if you come in this list, and then you can see this is hyper white, hyper back, white, hyper white. These are all whites. And then there's brown, and then there's, green and army green and transparent. So you would just color them based on the color that's their name in the slicer.
Yeah, and that was super useful when I set mine up. You just figure out what colors they are, and then just press the number button that corresponds with the.
Oh, can you do that? You just hit the number, press the number. Oh, that's nice. Oh, you do have to click on it, but you don't have to double click on it.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, it's a little hack.
Look,
tips and
zombie
tricks.
Hedgehog.
Yeah,
tips and tricks.
I will spend 10 hours learning how to save 5 minutes on a project. I'll do it.
It's a zombie hedge hack.
Hedge hack.
Yes.
Sure. Hacking hedges.
There we go. We got a new one.
Hedge hack.
Zombie hedge hack.
For some reason, dad jokes give him hives, and I'm just like, I love them. So,
I love that.
That's also like, there you go. So then you can see that it's been done. You didn't have to slice first. You didn't have to do anything. And then you basically use your standard settings. Whatever your HueForge settings were you use, and it'll automatically make the transparent layer whatever the base thickness was in HueForge. So HueForge was set to 0.16, so it'll automatically make the transparent layer 0.16. If you set that to 0.24, it'll make it 2.24, whatever you picked. So
So a couple questions here that I know are going to be asked. So the transparent layer. So if I have a 4-color HueForge, this is now going to turn into a 5-color HueForge.
That's correct. Good
and
question.
I want to be very, very, upfront about that, because I have a 4-color AMS and I designed a lot of my HueForges for 4 colors. And I think that's a good number. Yep. So now we're gonna have to do a 5th number, a fifth filament.
Yes, but you can pause and swap at layer 2 that filament out and put it in your next filament, and you'll be fine. So you will do one pause with filament change, whether it's in the AMS, you just change the filament in the same location you had the other one, or on a tool changer, you actually do a filament change in the tool, and then you've got your 4 colors back. And it's only the first layer that you have to do it for, so it doesn't take a long time to get there. You wait for the first layer to be done with that one, but you put the swap at layer 2 in all the 3-hour slicers.
So what I had to do was just pick another color. For example, I picked my first layer to be white, even though it wasn't. And then I loaded where the white slot would be. I loaded clear, did the print, did the pause, swapped it out. So I think that workflow is going to be a little bit different per printer. And I'm sure once it gets a little bit more matured, there's going to be guides and people being able to support individual printers, how to do it.
Yeah. For the most part, it's for anything with a CFS AMS type system, it's really easy. You just put the pause in there, and as you said, you pick the white or whatever color, put the pause in there at layer 2, swap it in for the transparent out and the white in, and then you just hit resume and you're good to go. It's mostly the tool changers and the MMUs and the ERCFAs and trad racks that you're going to have the process to actually do the pause, the swap.
Yeah. I know something on the stealth changer, it's already a little bit of work to do a color swap. So it's just happen to be understanding that you'll have to swap colors is interesting.
It's not actually that bad on the XL to do one swap, but
right. One swap, sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we do it, This to kind of bring some people up to speed. I know a lot of people are just joining. Okay. So Kit Killen does ask, what's the transparent layer?
Right. So the transparent layer, right? I know you're coming in. So on a HueForge that you're printing face down. Now, if you were to print a FlatForge face up, you don't need a transparent layer, and that's perfectly fine to print them face up. But I think most people are going to want to print them face down in order to get a cool bed texture or just a really smooth, shiny surface. When you're printing them face down, HueForge layer heights are 0.08 and 0.04 millimeters most of the time. And that's going to be very hard to print as a first layer. So FlatForge adds a transparent layer for you, so that you don't have to print. You don't have to print a really small first layer. You just print that transparent layer that's here that is added for you. You print this transparent layer at the bottom. You can't see it. You just see it as the shiny layer. It's thin enough that you really can't see any impact from it. It's pretty much truly transparent, unless you don't want it. Unless you don't want it to be.
Literally the same color. Like I'm looking here and I couldn't tell besides like the shininess.
Right. And so then you can now print the first layer normally, and then the rest of the layers at your HueForge layer height. I will say it actually massively reduced the slice time. It was shocking how much it reduced the slice time to go.
The first
to
layer.
A normal first layer versus the 0.04 first layer.
Interesting.
It was. I was really kind of surprised by that it was such a difference. But it made a huge difference. So that's what the transparent layer is for. And I didn't think about it when I wrote it, and I printed my first couple ones without it, and then said, "This is stupid. We need this."
So this is kind of like parallel to a lot of what we do in maker chips, right? Because we're already doing a lot of this just manually, right? Is a lot of the first layer stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, man, why don't I just do a maker chip with a first layer that's clear?
Yeah.
That would totally make sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm looking at this. You can't tell. You can't tell at all.
It could help with the wisping and all those sorts. It could really help with that. Because when you're getting those first layers on a maker chip, if you can change the color order in printing, there's all these different tips and stuff to get the best quality, the best quality flat face down. But to have something almost like, I don't know, Would you like say it's kind of like the glaze on a donut? Like it kind of smooths out the
sort of,
you know, like
yeah.
Or like with acrylics, a lot of time when people make things with acrylic, they have a clear layer.
So I will say that it's almost like, especially when you first start, it's actually probably pretty good to pause after your transparent layer anyway, because I know Zombie ran into this, I know Ian ran into this. If your first transparent layer does not go down really well, none of the rest of your layers are going to go down well. Like it's much more important because you're going from like 0.16 immediately to 0.04 or 0.08.
Yeah,
they're not going to make up any difference from that transparent layer. So
and actually, my issues weren't actually the first layer. The first layer is flawless. It was just the profile. Okay. I wasn't using a HueForge profile. I reran the same print on my X1 Carbon.
Yeah, that one I saw looks amazing.
It's beautiful, beautiful. I did the same thing with weird, like, I just swapped the red.
Yeah.
You know, just one color makes a huge difference, huh?
Yeah, yeah, because it goes orange instead of green and blues, yeah.
It's somehow sparkly. I don't understand
Additive
that.
Adam just rated in the Bug Wrangler.
Uh-oh. Welcome, Adam.
I think I don't think it's Adam that does it. I think it's his ferrets.
No, it's Adam. No, his ferrets are nice. The Bug Wrangler is very mean.
No.
So one thing I will show you is part of this work. If I just go to save now, it'll actually bring up the normal option, and then we'll have advanced options. And in the advanced options, you'll be able to split by color or remove background. Now, the reason they're not the deep, so you can get rid of this, what we call the lazy programmer rectangle, by clicking this button and saving it. It will get rid of that. You can't split by color and remove background. That's why that just did that. And the reason that it isn't the default is because this will add a ton more triangles to your model and will slightly change your model, generally in a better way, but slightly change your model. And so I want to make the standard kind of, and if you're just saving your project to save your project, like you're literally just, okay, I'm just saving this, quitting, I'm not going to print. You don't need those options. You just want to just save. So now when you go to save, it'll always bring that dialog up and then let you choose how to save. Okay. And the advanced options are where you can split by color or remove background. And again, they're just as easy. It's just a checkbox. And right now, I may take this out. Vertical walls. So HueForge meshes don't have vertical walls, right? They have slightly slanted walls. Every wall is a slight slant. Well, I found when I split these things up, there's some issues with where the splits happen between layers and things, and they're very hard to reconcile. And it turned out that just making the walls vertical makes it way easier and actually removes a whole bunch of artifacts and things like that actually are kind of undesirable. So I think I just may make this go away before the release, and you'll just get vertical walls by default. But so
whatever works, whatever's easier, right?
Yeah. So in any case, it's on by default, and I figure most people won't pay attention to it. But so it's super easy to split by colors or do those things. It's just a matter of unchecking that box and deciding to do it. So that was kind of my goal, was to make it as easy as possible. And little full disclosure, I sometimes am worried that it is too easy, and people will be like, "Oh, it's so easy. Why does this cost $15?" But there was a lot of work that went into making it that easy. So that's where that.
I've been kind of following since the beginning. Obviously, a lot more at the beginning than of recent time, but I mean, just listening to the conversations, listening to you struggle through this stuff, like it's not easy to do any of this. It's science. It's literal science, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's one of those things that's it turns out color is way more complicated than most people think. I have a lot of people, color match mode took a lot of work, and a lot of people are like, why didn't you just do this? I'm like, okay, but do you realize that why didn't you just let it pick a color? I'm like, do you realize that there's not like one color there? There's like 6,000 colors that are really close to each other there. You can't just say that's one color. It's not. And then, the whole human perception of, I think that's a blue or a brown, and it's actually a yellow, or it's actually a green, and you're perceiving it as a different color because the surroundings is a big problem too. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it turns out your lighting in your room affects how you see colors.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crazy.
Yep. So there's a whole lot that goes into it, and this one I did spend a lot of time trying to make it as easy as possible for the end user. And I actually had someone ask me on, I think it was Facebook today, am I going to need to get a second associate's degree to be able to use this? I've already spent a lot of time on HueForge. And I said, no, it's super easy. Once you've done the HueForge, you just, run the plugin, and it takes, a little time.
So everyone making tutorials for HueForge already they're still gonna be relevant. You just point them to there and then click the FlatForge button.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
And there's so many resources. My first advice, if anyone says, HueForge, I don't understand it, go to any of the websites, Printables, Maker World, and find an already existing HueForge model and print it. Follow the directions and print it. And that immediately helps you understand what HueForge is. You got to bring this into your slicer. You have to, you have to do some work.
Yeah.
It's not everything is going to be spoon fed to you. I mean,
I can't believe
already
this is 3D
have
printed. I can't. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's already with Polymaker, there's HueForge packs. So there's starter packs to get you started with HueForge. There's all sorts of, everything's there for you. So.
That's a good question. Are all of the colors going to be the same? So if you already make a HueForge, you're literally just taking the same colors and kind of orienting them. Is that correct?
Yes, all the colors are the same. I don't change the colors on the image. I will say that for some very complicated images, there's probably going to be a little bit of a loss of fidelity, just because of the way that edge effects and moving and warping things is going to occur. You're going to get a little bit of a loss of fidelity, but like most of it's there. It really comes across. The first one I ever printed was face up, and they look very weird printing face up. They look weird printing face down. This isn't it, but it was another one of these. This isn't the one, but it was one of the first ones, and I was like, theoretically, this should work. There's no reason this shouldn't work if I did it right. Like, the blending should work, but I just don't know how much, how well it's going to come out. And I was extremely pleasantly surprised by how well it came out. So, it looks, you use the exact same colors you used in the original, and it looks very, very, very close to the original.
Yeah. If I had to describe how this looks, it almost kind of looks like actually painted, like a little bit painted. Almost like watercolor, or it's not
to me,
super sharp, crispy like you might expect, and that's
or like
exactly
enamel.
the image. But it looks good. It's a good look. It really does.
Yeah, this one. So interestingly, the face down one, this one looks much sharper than the face up one. The face up one does have a little bit of that kind of, the edges aren't quite as crisp.
This is This is the top side of this image. It looks really sharp. And I don't know if that's because it was on an H2D, but still, I'm sure with proper settings and a really good understanding of how it works, you can make some really, really nice, clean, sharp images.
Yeah, and what I'll say though is, like, on a shiny bed, it almost looks like a resin filled print.
Yeah, it does.
If it has a sense of depth, it really almost looks like you poured resin on it. And it's kind of a funky effect. Like, I sit here staring at it going, I didn't pour resin on this, but it looks like it.
That's why I want to see, like, coasters and various different things.
And like we've already talked about maker chips. Oh, we
could have a whole episode just on like FlatForge maker chips. Like that's a whole thing.
That is something I'm very interested in seeing. I'm not going to be able to push that, but I know people. I know someone who does.
There may be someone here in chat.
Maybe someone. Am I correct in saying the lifetime personal lasts 2 years? Would I need to purchase again? You can use it forever. And right now, since I still don't have a solution to make sure that you have access to the previous version of your last allowed version, people are just continuing to get updates right now, which I'm okay with. I do plan on having a solution where you'll be authorized to get the last version that was your 2 years. You can download it again if you need to, and then there'll be a reduced cost version of personal use that you can do to get maintenance updates. You should never have to buy personal use again. You should always pay less than what personal use costs to get maintenance updates. So,
yeah, and if anyone has like those sorts of questions too, there must be you have just replied to the email they may have received, or the Discord, things like that. Because I know Inquiry Minds had a question too.
For this plugin, I decided to make my life a whole lot easier. Just it's one price, buy it once, get updates forever, never expires. No license, no different licenses, nothing. It's just one price.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But this was a lot easier. And then go to the front page of the website. If your email works, links won't work anymore. Go to the front page of the website. There are instructions for downloading the new version of HueForge. You just need to know what email address you ordered under originally, and you can get access to the new version, which is 9.12. The new version that's coming out will be 9.2. And then the plugins will come out. There'll be version 1 when they come out. The plugins will come out by the end of the month. Pretty confident that by the end of the month, the plugins. The beta may be shorter than I want, but the plugin should be out by the end of the month.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
I mean,
trying to think.
That's a lot for just essentially a plugin that takes the same thing you've already done and just makes it flat. That's literally all you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, why am I spending so much money? No.
And it's amazing because
it's incredible how like useful it is.
Yeah.
It's the one little thing.
Happy. No one has. There's very few people have complained. Like this is one where I've had very, very few complaints. I've had people say, "Doesn't this make a whole lot more waste and time? And why do I want that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you don't want it, don't buy it. That's the reason it's a plugin. So it's not baked into the price of HueForge. It's just go get the plugin if you want it. Don't get the plugin if you don't want it. Like it's not for everybody."
This is for me. This is going to give me a whole new revival back into HueForge. It's like more applications, more everything.
Yeah, we've already seen people use it for business, and we've already seen people use it on so many creative levels. This just opens it up for even more.
So let me real quick pitch Neokoi Prince, who's being a little butt in the chat right now.
Oh,
but,
little?
Well, he's a couple inches taller than me. So in the help menu, there is his playlist. His playlist for the 09X or 090 Crash Course playlist. If you're just starting HueForge, watch this playlist, especially since the UI has changed a ton. The old videos are in the older UI. And then also color match. If you don't know color match, it's going to be a nice ramp up from standard through color pop and then color match. It's super helpful. It's a really, really good way to get into HueForge. I pretty much tell people to use that video series constantly. It's like
that's something that I personally definitely need to watch and learn, because I mean, just regular HueForge is incredibly fun. And I'm not gonna lie, color matching, color pop, it's not. I couldn't just hop in and just figure it out. Like I can make stuff, but it wasn't how I wanted. You have to kind of train yourself and learn how to do it. Yep. So any tutorials, any guides, I would strongly recommend following.
And then I do office hours twice a month on YouTube as live streams. My next one will be tomorrow, and that one will be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And people send me images, and I just walk through the process of HueForging those images.
Danny says he's going to redo. Oh, he's going to redo some videos too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, I have to say that some of us, like Ian and Esther and I, who really, really try to push HueForge as much as we can.
I wonder why.
We go back to standard mode as often as we can, because the fidelity and the detail you can get in a standard mode print is just amazing. And it's harder to get that level of detail in a color match print. Now, you can't get as many colors. You're going to have trade-off. Like I did this one in standard mode, and it would have been very hard to get all the freckle details and stuff on her face. But of course, there's colors in there that aren't, this is just supposed to be green. These things are supposed to be green, but I'm like, who cares? It looks great. So we go to standard mode as often as we can, because we just love how good it looks in standard.
Oh man, I spent hours and hours back in the original HueForge just trying to take the little colors that I had, make it look the best, and just little tweaks, and
it's a lot. Fun. Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like the more time you put into learning how to do it, the better your prints get.
Yep.
And that's huge for HueForge.
Yeah. The more confidence you have in how the blending works and understanding how the blending works, the more confidence you have. And like, if I do this little subtle thing, it's going to give me that extra detail I want, or that extra thing I want.
Right.
And then just the instincts for where you want to put things and how you want to build things. So yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's let's see. I don't think I have anything. There's not a whole lot to show off, right? It's literally just this plugin, and you just run it,
right?
And you're done.
Well, so you said that
great
you're
to have
going
you back
to
on. because it's been so long. I mean, we talked to you back when HueForge wasn't even a thing. It was like pre-HueForge.
It was pre-release. Yeah,
pre-release. Yeah.
And I think I'm still calling it transmissivity.
Yes. Transmiss. I actually just found my little scope, the little the
oscilloscope
that I printed for that stream. Yeah.
So new, if you don't have a TD1 or a TD1S, HueForge now ships with the seashell test. So it's a slightly more realistic print. You print a little seashell model. It does take longer. It takes about 40 minutes, but it's easier to read and is more likely to give you accurate results to how your printer is going to print your filament.
Oh, okay.
Because it's actually got texture and detail to it and small features. And so, whereas the step tests were kind of the ideal what your printer could do, and in reality, what your printer is going to do is going to be a little different. So the seashell test comes with a PDF as well for how to print it and how to read it.
Cool.
So that's if you don't have a TD1 or TD1S, but obviously you should get a TD1 or a TD1S. Well, you can't get a TD1. You can only get a TD1S now.
I know. I still have a TD1. I got to upgrade to a TD1S.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically the same. I mean, I have, they're all over the place here. I have another one in pieces on my desk here because there we go. That one's got a wood paneling on it. Now I got a FlatForge. Now I got to FlatForge that. But
all the things.
They're effectively the same. The only difference between them is that these are injection molded, and so the filament paths are going to be a little bit tighter, and you're going to have a little bit less light leakage. But for the most part, that's not. These are plenty tight, so you're going to get the same results off of this unit and this unit. So there's no real reason to upgrade except to support Ajax.
I recently used my TD1 to diagnose an inconsistent color batch of filament. It's like this because I can see colors now. I mean, I got so many colors, and I can tell this one is slightly more translucent. And actually complained, and then the company was like, "Yeah, we don't care." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fun." But it's good to know, right? When you're trying to match colors, it's good to know what the TD is.
Yeah,
that should be a workflow process. New filament, immediately grab the TD, write it down.
Yeah, and when I built the filament library, I just assumed I didn't know how variable TDs were in filament, right? And even the same filament that looks the same is going to have a different TD. It can be a non-meaningful metric or non-meaningful change for printing, like for just a model print, but for a HueForge print, it matters if it's a 2 or a 4. But you're not like. A 4 is pretty much where TD of 4 is pretty much where you're not going to see walls through a couple of infill. If you're a couple of walls, you're not going to see the infill through it. Anything above a 4, you're going to start probably seeing some walls through there, or some infill through the walls. But so like a 2 doesn't matter versus a 4 when you're printing a model, but it matters when you're printing a HueForge quite a bit. So I thought, you're gonna scan your filament and then you're going to replace you're going to edit the one that's in the library. But people literally will have 5 spools of the same color because they know they're going to use it on multiple printers or whatever, and they'll measure each one and have each one as a separate version of that color in HueForge, so that they can pull exactly the one they want. Because this one's a 4.5, and this one's a 5.5, and this one's a 6, and this one's a 7, and they can pull the one they want and put it in there. So, that's something. Bearded Printer asked a good question, which is you just realize that the only reason you're successful is because of all the community and how much they support you, and then it's not about you. And that you're super fortunate.
Because you're taller than most people, you feel you have that confidence too.
I mean, I guess that helps, but that's not keeping me humble. Keeping me humble is the fact that, like, literally, I would not be able to do this if I didn't have the support of the community. And it's not about me making something cool. It's about the community seeing it as cool and doing something with it. So,
yeah, I mean, this is one of the I'm going to say it. This is one of the coolest things you can do with your 3D printer. I don't know anything else that's cooler that you can do besides. I'm serious. It is. When I first saw HueForge, I knew instantly that was going to be amazing. Even if the colors weren't like 100% accurate, like the ability to make these things is so cool.
Yeah, the timing of HueForge was so. I think it was just it came at the best time because a lot of people were at that stage where I've done this, I've done that, I've tried this, I've tried that, and it really reinvigorated a lot of people's interest in new projects and it got people excited. Definitely for us, It's like, this is something new to print. This is a project.
And at a time
for the people that appreciate.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
When you can appreciate what it takes, like, I mean, and the other thing with the original HueForge especially is that it didn't matter what printer you were using. I didn't have any AMSs or anything at the time. I am the color swap queen for a reason, because I was, even before I had the ability for M600, I was using the filament sensor and cutting the filament, you know. But yeah.
But it also did come at the time right after Bamboo pulled out the AMS and finally reliable multicolor. But people were doing this and saying, "Oh my gosh, there's so much waste, and do I really care? You know, I'd rather just have a fancy filament and do one color than do all these swaps and things like that at the time." And so it was just the right time to come into the market. And I'm thinking actually that FlatForge is a good time too, with the U1 coming out. As an affordable tool changer, with the Vortex system, with the Atom Form, assuming it actually comes out, all these nozzle changers. Now, the nozzle changers are going to be slower because they still have to do the retract and the reload of the filaments from their AMS units, but rather as opposed to a tool changer that just grabs the tool and goes. And whatever the Core 1 index combination is, those are all kind of coming out right now, and so you now have this environment now where it's still going to take longer to print a FlatForge. But I mean,
we're talking like 50, 60 maybe color swaps. Like that's not a lot. I mean, each swap's an add time, but the actual print is what takes a ton of time. It's an intense print. It takes a lot of little details, little hops. So that's going to take the time, not necessarily the color swap. So just getting it more efficient would be optimal. So tool changers, nozzle changers. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you're not talking hundreds or thousands of swaps here. You're talking
I printed models that are like 600-700. Oh my god, that takes literal days.
Yeah,
almost weeks.
Yep,
that's true. That's
feels like it.
My 30-hour Garfield.
Wow. Yeah, one pause overnight because the filament can't retract, and then this print just takes literally a week.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good time for this to come out. We have the Wonder Maker. Hopefully that comes out and launches well. So, and more companies are going to see. Oh my God, people want tool changers. Finally, companies are realizing that. So this is going to be one of the best tests for a tool changer. If your tool changer can't make a FlatForge, I don't want it. Boom. Done. I'm serious.
Well,
if you can't do that, then I don't want it.
What we haven't done yet, and I'm still waiting for Danny to do this, is I don't think he's done this, is the TPU FlatForge.
Ooh,
yeah, that'll be really interesting. So, I think it'll be easier. I think it could be easier because it's flat.
Well, TPU is always hard to print little tiny details. So he's done it on the U1 really well. So he just needs to sit down and do it flat.
Yeah, and you have translucent TPU as well, so that works fine.
Yep.
I have a transparent spool from Overture. Overture makes a transparent TPU.
Yeah, Overture's got they've got so many colors.
Yeah,
love it.
But they are always going to take longer because, again, it's a solid filled layer rather than each layer getting smaller and smaller. Every layer is the same size, so it is always going to take longer to print. Even if you were doing no swaps, they take way more time. You're like, how is this little thing costing me this much time? Like, well, that's the way it is. Sorry. So
he says I need transparent TPU.
That's like one of the first TPUs I got. It's super useful.
Wow.
How did you not get a spool of transparent Overture?
Well, I took from Murph this year. I took an entire carry-on suitcase full of TPU, and it went all the way to Italy. My luggage got sent to Italy, so it's very much international. But I
and then you got charged customs on the way back.
No, it was good. It was good.
Oh, very nice.
I didn't get my Uncrustables back, but these things happen. But yeah, I ended up with a lot of TPU, and of course that TPU was already quite moist from the Midwest Rep Festival, so it spent a lot of time in the dryer.
So silly question, Danny. If you didn't get clear TPU, what were you doing for your top layer blending? Were you just did you not care about that? Oh, just adding it as another color option for HueForge.
Oh, Kevin says Protopasta has transparent TPU too.
Oh.
Instead of just regular natural or translucent, using if you're doing TPU print, adding translucent TPU. I'm sure that can give you extra.
I found that at HueForge layer heights at the 0.04s, the naturals and the translucents just really don't show up at all. Like, except maybe at the very edges, you really just don't get much. They're really transparent. They're incredibly transparent at these layer heights and with the printing profiles we're using. So they don't really tend to do what you want, I don't think. That's something. So that is something that could come, by the way, would be some people have asked for this in the past, and I never really thought it was a great idea, but it could happen, which is making effectively like a resin fill. So if you had a regular HueForge and you wanted to have a flat layer on top that was transparent and fill in all those layers, the layers, that's something that the work I've done on FlatForge would allow me to do. I don't know for certain that it would make a good effect, but it would be relatively straightforward to do with what I've already done.
It'd be interesting because regular like printing glass really works because you're doing these thick layers and they're bonded together. With HueForge, the fact that it's like a bunch of squiggles, I don't know how that would look.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the effect of having that, for example, K2 Kevin's maker chip that comes right to mind, he has the translucency effect, so it has depth in the chip.
Yeah.
That it looks really good. So if you can figure out a way to manage that, I think that would be pretty interesting.
That's actually nearly free. Like that could be in this version. It would not take very long to write that from where I'm at. And in fact, you could keep it down to 2 swaps per layer because the rest of it could be layer swaps effectively. And just the transparent gets swapped with the color each, potentially every layer.
Right.
So
perfect for an H2D or something.
Yeah. So that's a possibility. Again, I have no idea if that's going to look cool when printed, and so I'd want to.
You got to try it.
Yeah,
you would. Honestly, I bet if someone said, what HueForge was before it was made, you would have thought like, that's gonna look like junk. That's not gonna work.
Yeah, there's Kevin's with the translucent.
Okay.
There's the translucent.
And even in person, you got to see it. It's a really good effect.
I think I have one of those. somewhere.
Yeah. This one has the chip in it too, doesn't it?
Oh, the NFC.
The Blue Moon.
Let's see. I got one of my containers of these things here. I
don't think you would
never put them all together in one place. So they're all.
Turtle Virus says, I've never done HueForge. Is it ironable? I don't think you'd want to iron. That the whole point of HueForge itself is to have those.
But do you mean ironable as in you use ironing on it? Or do you mean ironable as in you can iron it onto a shirt or something like that?
Yeah.
Like if it was TPU, you could iron it onto a shirt. And the answer is I don't know the answer to that question. But yeah, that would look really cool. That, and that's actually one where you might say it might actually look cooler. That one might look like your earrings might look cooler double-sided textured with flat surfaces added to them rather than flat transparent added to them rather than double-sided flat. I don't know. You do still get the sense of depth. I was afraid that we were going to lose a lot of the sense of depth out of a cameo and things like that, but the sense of depth is still there. So, sorry, I do not have a K2 Kevin in this particular container of chips.
Once you find it, again, that's like a specific way of printing, but if you're doing a really low layer height,
chip matrix, Steve.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had a maker chip matrix.
Imagine if I couldn't bring that one home from Remurf with me. I didn't have room.
You don't have any printers at home. So.
You don't have any printers. You wouldn't be able to.
No
print
printers.
it.
No filament.
My printers only print 2.5D. They're not 3D printers.
That's right. That's way too small.
I even have another one. Look, I have another one right there.
Imagine that you have more than one K2 Kevin item.
Yeah, well, different shows.
Oh,
different shows.
Yes.
This is Rocky Mountain. This is Murph.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anyone have any other questions for Steve while we have him? Remember, this is Steve, the developer of HueForge, the revolutionary. What's the tagline?
There isn't the tagline specifically.
It's like image to 3D print. Like there has to be some easy way of describing it.
The tallest people in 3D printing and Esther. There.
Then Esther. Yeah.
And Esther. Yeah.
So this show, by the way, we're going to be a little bit smaller group this show. It'll be Danny, myself, AJ, And then Ian's supposed to be coming, but has some family stuff going on, so it is possible he won't be here, but I think he will. So this year, my dad won't be there, and Esther won't be at this show, unfortunately. We tried to beg her to come out, but she's like, I'm in Australia. I can't come to every show. So she said Rocky Mountain next year is definitely possible, though. If you want to meet Esther, go to Rocky Mountain.
Sounds fun. Yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming show. I'm excited to see everything in person. Because even if you make your own or print other people's, just going to the HueForge booth, it's very inspirational. I'll give it that. It's like, okay, I want to take this, I want to go home, and I want to make all of this and learn how to be this good.
Get good.
Yeah, like, seriously, it's really good. Like all the stuff you have there, it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna make a HueForge. But no, this is incredible. For someone like me who's not as into HueForge anymore. I don't do it every day, right?
You got other things to do. It makes sense, yeah. The plugin will be available at the end of the month. And before that, hopefully this week, but possibly as late as early next week, there'll be a short beta period for HueForge 9.2 without the plugin, just to make sure that's all sorted and no one's having problems with it. And then the plugins will come out for everybody, and 9.2 will go out for everybody after that. By 3D Printopia.
Yeah, so I think Danny Neokoi says it best. We've been underplaying it because we've been doing it for years. It's like, oh, it's just HueForge, right? But no, like stop, take a step back, and it's still one of the coolest things. I haven't really seen a match to it. The only other like effects things are like the effects plates, right? Being able to have fancy things.
I saw that cool, at the beginning. But that looked really nice.
Like, they're just effects plates. It's a single layer. After the first layer, there's nothing.
Possibility of when we can do 9 or 12. HueForge does not care what your printer is, so please give me a 7, 9, or 12 tool changer, and then you can put all the colors you want in there. So HueForge is very, very printer agnostic. If you can make your printer do the changes that need to be changed, whether it's layers or by color or by model, HueForge will make your model file for you. I did see someone ask about 3MF files. 3MF files are a giant pain in the butt because they change all the time and everyone does them differently. However, I actually have a community member who is interested in making a 3MF plugin for HueForge. And I said, that would be awesome because then I won't have to maintain it and deal with it. And I don't really have time for that, but then people can get the 3MF capabilities. So I have no timeline on that. But that may be one of the first community plugins that comes out for HueForge.
Yeah, that being said, just the process of taking all of the FlatForge files, or in the future, regular HueForge files split up, and just drag them into your slicer, it's super simple. Like, all you have to do, just do it once, you figure out how it works, and it's fine.
It's probably harder to change your filaments, honestly.
It is.
Than coloring it, yeah.
It is.
So... yeah, that's probably the harder part. And I have made the plugins so that if there is a new 3MF plugin, they will automatically use it. So it'll automatically be an option. You'll be able to choose: do I want to export STLs? Do I want to export 3MF? Do I want to export whatever output?
I want a step file, please.
Well, then write the step file plugin for me, please.
No, that's funny. Everyone always asks for a step file. Like, no, I made this in Tinkercad. There is no step file. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, upload it to Things and then let them make a step file for you.
Right.
It'll be exactly what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't we have a Slicer of the Sports plugins? I actually have talked to a Slicer company or Slicer developer who is considering a plugin system. All of you guys got the commercial. And then HueForge as a Slicer plugin would be better. Maybe, but then you're tied to the slicer. It would be nice to be able to feed a HueForge straight into the slicer, but I don't know that HueForge as a Slicer plugin would be better, to be honest.
We already have to deal with going to a model site and going to the slicer and then going to your printer. Like, there's already a separation. It would be really nice if everything was in the same spot, but I don't think that's even necessary. It's like so low priority.
Shading you.
It could be nice. I think it could be nice to be able to say, this is the slicer I use inside of HueForge and have it be able to, because like Fusion can theoretically push straight to your slicer, though it doesn't always. It's a little janky. Being able to say, okay, let me just push this HueForge to the slicer and have it all be loaded in that would be, I could see that would be nice, but I don't think there's a big benefit to being another tab on the slicer, which is literally just like a web page. Like,
yep.
So
yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
So
just make your own Orca slicer, like the Hue slicer.
I don't want we don't need another Orca slicer. We just need that feature in Orca slicer.
Exactly.
And I never wanted to be a slicer writer. I've never wanted long time.
Oh, you don't have to. You just take Orca slicer and it's right Hue slicer. There you go, done.
There you go.
It's
done.
now Hue slicer has been released. Yes.
Yeah.
If your model is over 5 millimeters tall, it refuses to slice it.
Yes, there you go. Love it. Actually, I hate to say that, but would it be beneficial to have a HueForge specific slicer with all the craziness that goes on with like slicing in HueForge? Is there anything that, like any slicing techniques that could be changed or modified?
So there is one. So the big deal is perimeters right now. Perimeters are actually the real problem. Once you have your perimeters, you're pretty much set, and it doesn't take very long. So the perimeter issue, I've talked to a slicer developer about it, and he was trying to dive into. There's apparently a new tool that they haven't really moved to. That they use a tool called Clipper, CLIPPER, and there's a Clipper, and there's a Clipper 2 that's supposed to be way better than Clipper and much faster than Clipper, but they're not using it. And then they're also not doing things like, so what they apparently have to do is for every perimeter, they have to check to see if it merges with every other perimeter. So if you have a HueForge layer with a lot of small little circles in it, basically they all are checking against every other perimeter on that layer to see if they merge. And I was like, why can't you do, this and that? And he said, yeah, we can do that. We just haven't. And it hasn't really been an issue until now. So that's kind of.
Oh. So I would maybe in the future. Maybe it's not unrealistic to have a Hue slicer. Maybe not.
It should speed up all slicing. Like every time you've got a complicated model, it should speed up the slicing on that as too. But it's probably going to be outweighted on HueForge. Though the new HueForge, the profiles we have for HueForge are a lot faster to slice than they used to be. So
we're gonna need a maker chip slicer. We're gonna need all the slicers.
Right. Yep.
Slicer for the day of the week.
OrcaForge, yes. I do think the Forge name, I'm not going to be able to name every plugin with Forge. It's just not going to work. But FlatForge was right there. So.
Yeah. I love it. Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for
having
having me.
Yeah.
I'm
very interested in this, and thank you for the preview once again.
Yeah.
My wife actually commented. She's like, "Oh wow, this is so much better than before," because she saw a bunch of these.
Yeah,
she's like, "This is really good," and she, she likes 3D printing a little bit, but not that much. So for her to say that, that is huge.
Yeah,
that's like the average person looking at it.
When I showed my daughter the box, I showed my wife the box. She said, "That's the coolest thing you've made, the most impressive thing you've made in a long time." I was like, "Oh, okay."
So I think we both forecasted that HueForge was going to be incredible, and I'm forecasting right now that FlatForge is going to be as good or better than HueForge. I'm telling you,
I'm excited.
It's a high bar, but it's super cool.
Thank you.
So get excited, folks! It's coming. Buy it. If you don't have HueForge yet, just pick up HueForge.
And you'll still get the Polymaker coupon for personal use in a growing number of countries. So when we first started, actually it was right after our stream that Nick contacted me about the original Polymaker deal. But U.S., Canada, Europe, UK, and Japan currently all have Polymaker coupons.
That's
Collie in chat said it doesn't apply. Well, now it does, Collie. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Buy it, use it, break it.
Yeah, FlatForge will not make your belly flat. Sorry, but no, personal use only. Personal use. You'll get the coupon for personal use, and given exchange rates, it might be a little off the cost of HueForge, but it's normally like 1 or 2 currency units off. Wherever it is. So, you cannot use your voucher from 2 years ago. Sorry. You can always message Polymaker and ask, but probably not.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's great that you have that partnership too. I mean, we're very lucky to have our partnerships with Polymaker, and it's they're very forward thinking. So it's awesome.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Very cool.
And we get to see you in like 10, 11 days.
Oh.
Yeah, I have some printing to
I
do.
know. Sorry
Yeah,
about the.
I actually,
Zombies,
I have to
every
get all
time
my printers
Zombie
back up and
actually
running.
Zombie says curse words to me when I tell him the countdown,
Yes, that's pretty
and
much.
he often hangs up
It's less
on
than
me.
ideal, the number of days,
Yes.
and it keeps getting
Yes.
more and more less than ideal the closer it gets to the event.
Well, and the last couple of shows, people have taken prints from me, like not like stolen, but like they've been, hey, can we take this? And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. So I'm like, wait, what prints do I have? Which prints am I missing? Like, what do I need?
Could have new ones for sure.
Yeah, so I should have some new ones. I haven't printed a regular HueForge in quite a while, so.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. It was a pleasure. I'll be FlatForging all the things. It's gonna be fun. I mean, with the holiday season coming up, like I'm just, it's gonna be very.
I'm already really excited about doing snowflakes with all the celestial colors.
I'll be interested to see what you do with those as like transparent layers and things like that. So yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I'm really
I can't
excited.
wait.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. This is Steve from HueForge. Bye. There we go.
There we go.